Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelli Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelli, and I am back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. And my guest today is someone that I have been dreaming about having on my podcast since I started my podcast, thinking about the conversation that we are gonna have. My guest today is Kelli Watson. I originally met Kelli at Fitness Quest 10 in San Diego, California. This was back in 2017. I was there for a retreat and wasn't a part of the mastermind. I'd never met Todd in person. I don't even know how I landed at this retreat, but I got to meet some of the different coaches in the mastermind, and Kelli was one of them. Todd had us travel between different areas and just sit down and get to know the different coaches. And I remember when I met Kelli, I was thinking to myself, I don't really know how she fits in here. She didn't seem, it was a little different. She just had a different energy. And I just kind of, I don't know. I just didn't really know. I liked her. I thought she was amazing. I thought she was incredibly smart. She had a great message. She was very inspiring, but I just didn't really put it all together. Fast forward to 2019, I decided to join the mastermind, and I got a message. It was probably from Frank, our mutual friend Frank, and it was Kelli, congratulations! We're inviting you to the mastermind, and your coach is going to be Kelli Watson. And I was like, oh my God, I love her. And so as soon as Kelli and I got to talk, we realized we have so much in common. One is that we're both from upstate New York. Kelli still lives there now. She'll be a second mama to my daughter when she goes to school up near Cali, and when my daughter Lindsay goes to Syracuse. I admire Kelli Watson so much for so many different reasons, and I can't wait to share her with you guys. I think that you will understand why we all say that she's the absolute greatest coach in the world. She's an incredible listener. I have really tried to emulate some of the things that I've seen Kelli do in our coaching calls as a coach to other people. I don't think anyone's as good at it as Kelli. And today I don't want her to listen. I want her to talk. I already gave her that little speech because she likes to put the spotlight on everybody else. And today I want her to talk because I want you guys to hear her story. So Cal, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of background because you've got a lot. And I didn't even mention some of the hats that she wears that are very important that we're also going to talk about.
You teared me up there. That was really special. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you just said. But honestly, Cal, I really appreciate you giving me this chance because it's true. I often and most often am in the seat you're in right now. I don't often get the chance to be on this side. And I appreciate getting the chance. So thank you for that. And also just thank you for you. I mean, you're doing incredible things. I told you right before we got on here how amazing it is to just see you shining so brightly doing something that you love. And I just love seeing it. And now I get to be a part of it. So here I am.
Okay, now we're both crying. Great.
Good way to start. That's a good way to start. So you said introduce myself, which is not an easy question to answer. But I will say at the heart of it, you mentioned it already. I'm a coach. I was born to be a coach. I wouldn't know how to not coach. My kids will be the first to tell you that I'm a coach. And I have found that I can be a coach in so many different arenas and in so many different ways. And so as I look back at the trajectory of my career and some of the amazing things I've been able to do and the incredible people that I get to work with in every arena, I think the through line, the thread that binds it all together is no matter what I'm doing, I'm showing up as a coach. And whether that's being a mom or whether that's running a coaching business with fitness professionals, or whether that's at a point where I own my own gym and I was coaching people to get fit and get well and get healthy, or whether it's coaching people to write their books, That's the through line of all of it. And layered on top of that is, unbeknownst to me, apparently I'm also an entrepreneur. And I never knew that. I didn't think that until I became one. And then someone used the word and I thought, oh, I guess that is what I am, which means I'm always open to opportunities and I'm always open to seeing how I might best serve when those doors open. And because of that, I've had the opportunity to have some amazing connections and run a couple of different businesses now and help people build businesses because I also run in that entrepreneurial space as well.
Yeah. Well, you are an incredible coach, Kelli. And I had never had, before I met you, before I was part of the mastermind, I had never been coached in a personal level. I'd been on teams, but I never had a one-on-one conversation with someone about me and my business and you bring out the best in everybody. And one of the things that I think of when I think of a great coach is someone that you're thinking about when they're not there. And I remember, like, if something good happened or I'm like, I can't wait to tell Kelli about this. When's our call? Like, you just have that, power of people wanting to please you. And you also have a power of believing in other people and making things that seem impossible possible. So Kelli had mentioned one of the things that she does, and I'd love for you to share in detail about how you started that, because I think that is a very interesting story. But one of the things that she does is she owns a publishing company, which I don't think was ever something that she had planned, but you'll hear how it started. So when I had always had on my heart to write a book. I've shared that. And I never thought it was possible. I didn't think I had the brain power. I didn't think I had the focus. I didn't think there was just a list of things that I didn't have that would prevent me from ever being able to write a book. And when I got paired, I believe in coincidences and I believe in the universe bringing people together. And when I got paired with Kelli and later found that she owned a publishing company, I was like, oh, maybe I am supposed to write this book. So Cal, talk to us about that.
Let me just add that, and you pointed out something that I think is probably one of the most crucial parts of my philosophy on life, is that it only takes one person to believe in you for you to achieve it. And I learned that because I had that experience myself. And when we're talking about you believing that you could write a book and me believing that you could write that book, that actually stemmed back to how it started with me, which is the lead up to how Scriptor became a business. In 2009, I joined Todd's mastermind because I had a vision and a dream to start a gym. I wanted to do something and create a space that was much more than sets and reps and come and go. I wanted a community. I wanted what you have built at Energy with Kelli's Boot Camp. Like, you have that same passion to be able to bring people together in a new way. And at that time, 2009, I didn't have any idea how to do that. And there was nothing like that here in my community. So I had this vision and I thought, oh, I'll join Todd's mastermind because I really connected with Todd, as most people do, and wanted to connect with people who knew how to do it and could help me. And 4 months later, I opened my doors for Studio 8 Fitness, and Larry Indiviglio was my coach that helped me do that through Todd. It wasn't very long after that Larry said to me, Kelli, you are a great writer. I believe you could write a book. And I did just like you, Cal. I was like, oh, I always thought I wanted to, but who am I and why should I? And is anybody going to listen to me? And do I have anything that's worth saying? You know, all the questions that most authors go through when they're thinking about doing it. And he connected me with the person that helped me write my first book. And a year later, I wrote my second book, and so on. In 2016, we were at a Todd Durkin retreat in California. And I think somewhere in that retreat, Todd said, I've been talking to this man, Greg Justice, who is also in the mastermind, about starting a company to publish books for people in the fitness industry. Because people that are in the health and wellness industry, Cal, the most passionate people in one of the most important jobs that there is to help get people healthy. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they're working sessions from 5 a.m. until 8 at night, 9 at night. And when are they going to get out and share their message with a bigger number of people? They can't, but they could if they had a book. So Todd was talking to Greg about how important this was for fitness professionals to have a book and be able to create a business, because Greg at that point had published, I think maybe he had a dozen books at that point. And Todd said, you've done this, you know how to do this, you should do this. And Greg kept pushing back saying, I've got my own fitness gym in Kansas City. I've got all these other things I'm doing. I don't have time to run a business. I heard Todd say it at the retreat, and at the break, I just went up. I introduced myself to Greg. I knew who he was, but we hadn't actually met. And I just said to him, I like to write. And if you need an editor or you need help, people need help writing, I could help people. And he turned around and he goes, I don't want an editor, Kelly. I need a business partner. Let's talk.
Wow. I love that.
Not expected at all. I was so blown away, and I really didn't expect that at all. But soon after that, we got together and we started planning out Scriptor. And a year later, January of 2017, we opened the doors. So it's now, 7+ years later, and we're running this 8+ years later now, actually, we're running the business, and it's just continued to grow. So
it's incredible. How many books have you published, Kelly?
I think we have published over 320 books at this point, which is incredible.
Incredible.
And we started off in that niche of helping people in the fitness industry write and publish their books, an extended business card for them to get outside the four walls of their gym. And within 3 months, we had 42 authors on contract. And within 3 books, we had already published a book that was outside of that space. It went so quick and it spread so fast. And what we realized that quickly is that we had a system that we could use to publish any kind of book. So we have published fiction, we have published nonfiction, we've published fantasy, we've published cookbooks, children's books, memoirs, you name it. We've published all kinds of books, which means me as the coach, I get to work with so many incredible people and help them figure out how to share their story and go through that process. Kelly, you and I went through that with Emily as we were getting your book together. How do we best share your message and the way that you want it to be out there in the world? That's what I get to do.
Yeah, I love that you said that about the system, because I think that is so important, because I think a lot of people have it on their heart to write a book and they don't know where to start. And one of the things that you did for me in particular is you just said to write. You were just like, don't overthink it. Just start. You have writing, and you made it less intimidating and overwhelming. And the structure, that's what every author needs. Anybody that wants to do anything needs accountability and a coach. And I don't know that much about the publishing world, Kel. I don't, other than you and Greg, I don't know anyone in that world. But I feel like you guys do more than just publish the book. I feel like there's like a whole like coaching process that you do for your authors. And a lot of times they're first-time authors, right? A lot of times, because people in the fitness industry, they're not always writers, but they have messages that they want to share. Can you talk a little bit about that, Cal?
Yeah, it's so true. Really good. And it really comes back to the coaching, what you're talking about. We do add that element. It isn't just about publishing. It's about coaching people. And when you're coaching somebody, you're meeting them where they're at. So because I'm a coach, I'm meeting somebody where they're at. So for you, Cal, when we were doing it, I knew there were a lot of barricades in your mind that were going to stop you, because you can overthink it and you can, stop yourself, because I know you. And so my feeling for you as a coach was just flow. Don't put any more impediments and barriers. Don't make this overcomplicated, because you'll do better if you just flow. And obviously you had Emily, the three of us have met several times, and Emily was so integral in helping you get that structure too.
Sure.
But then once you had a bit of a structure to work in, you could flow. And once you really got the vision and you could see it yourself, then it just started coming. And then Emily did her piece and it just came, right? Once you got that, it came out beautifully. But that's everybody, and that's you. Now, I just met with someone today who said, I need step 1, step 2, step 3.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'm going to meet you right there, and I'm going to do step 1, step 2, step 3, and we're going to do it bite-sized chunks, and you're going to do step 1 first, and then we'll do and we'll work through it that way, because that's a better system for that person. So when you're coaching, whether it's a book or whether it's getting better in your fitness or whether it's retiring and figuring out what's next in your life, I think it's important for the coach to meet the person where they're at.
Yeah.
And speak to them from that space. So even though it's a system, the coaching piece is going to be very personalized. It's going to be very much about where the person is and what they need.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, Kel, when you're coaching an author and they are feeling overwhelmed or they're feeling like they want to quit, because I know I wanted to quit a couple of times. The only reason why I didn't quit is because of you and Emily. I didn't want to let you down. I felt like you had invested so much and I don't ever want to let anybody down. I would have let myself down, but I would not let you guys down. So what would be your coaching, or I know that's kind of a tricky question, but I'm imagining that a lot of people get to that point.
A lot of in anything that's hard, and you know this from when you're training people. At first, it's exciting, and there's the energy that comes and the momentum that you get just from starting a new program. So let's just use it in a sense of some of your audience will understand because they've started, training with you or taking group classes, and they're excited. They're meeting new people. They're learning new things. They're starting to feel good. And then all of a sudden it gets hard because you have to be consistent. The results don't show up quite as fast as you want them to. You're lifting heavier weights. You're running further distances. Things get hard, and that's when people want to give up. It's the same thing with writing a book. There's a moment where you got to get down on your knees and go, am I going to do this or am I not?
Yeah.
And how am I going to step up? And that's why having a coach and having a team and having people around you helps, because it's super easy to talk yourself out of it. Like you said, you'll let yourself down. We all will, more than we'll want to let somebody else down. So it's the importance of having somebody on that journey with you, a trainer, a coach, a friend, somebody that keeps you accountable and says, you can do this. Stay with it. Do one more rep. Try one more step. You've got this. I believe in you. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back a little bit, a chapter that you skipped, maybe on purpose, but were you a teacher, Cal?
I actually went my undergrad degree. I had a degree in English and teaching education. So my parents were both teachers. My mother was elementary. My dad taught math. He went on to become a principal and a school superintendent. So my parents were in the education field. So in my mind, I earlier said there was no part of me that thought entrepreneur. I thought I'll be a teacher.
You like to write. You like to read.
Exactly. It makes sense. But somewhere in my senior year of college, it occurred to me that if I'm teaching, I'm in that career for 30, 40 years. Like I could become an administrator. That's what my dad did. I could grow that way. Yeah. But that's it. And there was something in me that said, I don't want to be confined. Mm-hmm. I don't know the thing. But I didn't know. I knew that I didn't want to be confined. And so I chose not to go into that as a career. Okay. I went to law school actually, and then I went and got my master's in counseling. So I was really
okay. That makes sense. The counseling, I bet you learned a lot of your coaching technique from counseling because they're hand in hand.
They're hand in hand. And it's the basis and the theory behind everything that I'm coaching. So all of that happened. And then when I went back to work after the kids, so I was home with my kids for the first 10 years. And when I went back to work with my kids, there was a program here in the schools. It was a grant program, and it was called Peaceful Schools. And it checked all the boxes in terms of like things I loved. Working with the kids, being in the classroom, teaching them character education, teaching them how to be better communicators, teaching them how to get through their anger, all these things that were actually state mandates, New York state mandates, character education in the classrooms, but the teacher didn't teach it. It was like a book on a shelf that they might pull out if they needed a lesson plan. But we did it. We actually pushed into the classrooms. So I did that. That was the first thing I did when I went back to work. I had the kids. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved the kids were amazing. It was in the city school system here, and their kids and very big needs that they have, just sort of unspeakable needs sometimes that they had. And you just felt like you would watch them light up, and it would just make your day.
I love that they had that character. Do they still have that in New York?
So in 2010, they cut the grant funding.
Okay.
And I had started Studio 8 in 2009.
Okay.
In August of 2009. And in January, they told us that we weren't going to be funded for that program. So that was sort of I could have stayed in that for probably forever. I could get that because I was doing mediations. I went to different schools. I wasn't confined in a classroom. I was going to different schools. There was a lot about that I loved. And it was, the full-time job with the benefits and everything that you need. And then they were saying it was done. And it was so scary for me. It was really one of, if not the scariest, it was this really scary moment in my life of how was I going to, at that point I was a single mom.
Yeah.
So I had divorced. So I was a single mom of 3 kids, and I had to figure it out.
Okay. So you had something that you had the studio, something that you were passionate about, that you were already.
I was literally on the nights that the kids were with their dad, I was at the studio. Those were my only hours because I worked full time.
Okay.
And then I would
you owned it, but you didn't operate it.
That was it. Yeah. That was all I did operate it. It was mine, but I was only there. Those were my hours, Tuesday and
Okay. I see.
Saturday mornings before the kids got up, I think.
Okay. When did you become a coach in the Todd Durkin Mastermind? So
I joined in 2009 as part of the program. And then in 2013, I became a coach.
Okay. So so you were coached by Larry.
Yeah. Larry said to me, Kelli, you can do this. Do this for the summer. Get these kids, the school year ended in June. And then he goes, do these programs for the kids, but then also do them for the parents while they're waiting. And that's where I went full time over that summer, and I never looked back. That's how I got.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
All right, keep going, Cal, because you have so many layers, and I think it's really, really interesting. And I want to talk about how you have blown me away with how you've leveled up in your career and in your confidence and in your just everything. And I think the steps are important. So I want to hear all the steps from you had your studio, you became a coach for the mastermind, 2016, you started. There's a little bit more in between, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's probably important to recognize that personal and professional always go hand in hand, right? They're parallel. Sometimes, they're always intertwined, but there's parallel growth. And so in my personal life, at the moment that I was starting to build Studio 8 and figure out what that was, started writing some books, I was also trying to figure out who I was now as a single mom. Everything I had imagined being married, the dreams that we had, what I thought my life was going to be had shattered. And I was rebuilding myself at the same time I was building, not rebuilding, but building this business. So those hand in hand. And I think that's important because when you're talking about the growth and the leveling up, you don't level up business until you level up personal. You can't, because it's always intertwined. So as I grew in my knowledge of myself, as I built my own self-confidence, it really became more aligned with myself. I think that's the best way to say it. I became much more aligned with who I am, what my values are, what's important to me, and what my gifts are, and more confident about being able to share those. Then the career path started to build. So I'm building the Studio 8 Fitness to serve people and to make ends meet for my family. But I was becoming more me. And as I became more me, it started to show. And that's when Todd saw that I had the potential to coach. And so that's when he asked me to step up as a coach. So that leveled me up there, but it started with my own growth first. And then that continued to grow as I grew as a coach and started to feel more confident. That's what led me to talk to Greg, to even entertain an idea to be a business partner with somebody I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know Greg at all. I met him a couple times, but I didn't know him.
But here's one thing I will say, and this could be a bad thing, but when Todd brings somebody in, or you feel you've already got like a base level of trust. Like Todd sees something in this person. He's got a gift of seeing things in people and just surrounding himself with very high level people that he might notice that nobody else does. So I think that probably why Greg had trust in you and you had trust in him, even though you hadn't really met each other, was that common denominator.
It's so true. Todd is very intuitive, and he sees that. And so, yes, there was that. And then in addition, it's a partnership. So, and he lives in Kansas City and I'm in New York State, and like, how does all that work? So that took some growth. It took some confidence on my part to believe in myself enough to be able to do that. And the reason I could be is because I knew at my heart what I can do. I know the role that I play. And then that continued, and it's grown, then that grew. So Scriptor's kind of off and running and doing its thing. And then Todd says he's leveling up. He needs to level up his team. And he says, will you move up as director of coaching? Because then he saw the confidence that was happening because I was building this other business and what I had done. And Todd, going back to where you started, like, how do I fit in the Todd Durkin world, and sort of that, sort of masculine energy that is Fitness Quest 10 or a lot of gyms, that is certainly a perception of them anyway. I think I am the yin to the yang. I'm the balance of, he motivates me the same way he motivates you, like that energy. We all need that juice, that he brings. And then I help him. He's the visionary. I'm the integrator. He takes the vision. He sees stuff I could never begin to see. And I can take it and make it into something we can implement. And I can coach people through that. So that's where the connection with Todd, and that, our relationship continues to grow as we learn and in this new role together, how to work better together and how to make what we're doing better for the people that we're serving. So we're continuing to grow personally. Him having me step up into this role means he's had to adjust. He can't be doing all the things he's doing, so he's learning to delegate and let go of some things. I'm learning to step up and fill in and see where he needs me and where I can help. So we're still growing personally in that new role, and then also obviously professionally, because Todd's growing in lots of directions through his business.
The life coaching, did that start in the God-Sized Dreams, and did that start pandemic time, or was there something going on before then?
It was before pandemic, because what was happening with Todd was so well known in the fitness space. And then people were asking him, finance companies were saying, come to our advisors, and insurance companies were saying, come and speak to us. And he would do these speeches, and everybody would be as excited as they are when he speaks, because we all feel him. But there was nothing to offer them.
Yeah.
So they would be like, what can I, here's a book. I can give you a book. That's good. But they didn't necessarily want a workout program. They need something different. And that's when we started thinking, how do we provide coaching programs for people in all aspects of life? It's not just people in the fitness industry.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So to explain just my relationship with Kelli, so she was my coach, and what that means is in the mastermind, there are different teams. We were Team Elevate, and it just was an incredible group of women and men for a little while. But we just, not everyone's still in the mastermind, but like you develop these relationships. But what I want to point out about what I thought Kelli did, I learned so much as a leader from Kelli, because she would in our calls, in our 1 hour long calls, she would give everybody the opportunity to be seen and heard. So it's like if you were struggling with something, you just felt like, okay, I'm going to have a minute outside of my business, because a lot of us are business owners of some type. And you don't want to bring negative energy into your business. You don't bring negative energy anywhere, but sometimes you just need an outside source to pour into you, right? That's why I joined the coaching program, because I felt like I didn't think I would be able to keep doing what I was doing at the level I wanted to do it at if I didn't get poured into, if someone wasn't feeding me. I needed to be fed. And to say Kelli is an incredible person to coach and feed you is the understatement of the year. But I also watched her with everybody on our team, and we were very, very different. And she could, exactly what she said, as she does with her authors, she would meet them where they were at, but she would also let us help each other. There was just so many things that you did, and I just think naturally, and that's why everyone says that you're such a great coach. But I couldn't help but think I wanted my husband to work with. I'm like, I want everyone I know to work with Kelli. Like, I just felt like if someone was struggling with something, you need to talk to Kelli. Like, but do you think that's instinct, Cal? Do you think that's just like your coach's instinct, or do you think that's trained? Could you point us to anything that you've done or read? Or I know you're part of the mastermind. I know you've been coached by Todd, but like where can we get that ability? Because it's the greatest gift in the world. Just like you started off when you were talking about being a coach for your kids, being a coach for everybody. Like we all want to be better at that. So what advice can you give us?
First of all, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me to hear you say that. Thank you so much. Because as any position, but certainly as a coach with the people that you really care about, you really hope that you're making that difference. And so thank you for that. That was a great gift right there. And I also want to say one of the ways to get that is to be part of a network like the Mastermind. I am a firm believer in the collaboration that happens when you get with people who are like-minded, people but who also challenge you. So the fact that you guys are all different, to me, challenging in a good way, because not everybody understands, not everybody has the same business model, not everybody's running things the same way, and yet you get ideas from each other. One person says something and I remember calls, Kelli, because you get great ideas. And someone would say something and I would watch your eye because I could see that you were taking that and spinning off lots of ways that you might be able to tailor that idea or make it into something of your own. You can't do that in a vacuum. You can't get ideas like that when you're sitting there by yourself. So I'm a huge fan of getting in a mastermind. Nobody can do it alone. We all do it better together. So whether it's fitness business or whether it's, you're at a stage in your life where you're ready for a change and you don't know how to get there, or you're afraid to make a change that you know is calling, or any number of reasons to find a group of people to connect with. We are social creatures and we do better when we work together. So that's number one. I would say that's how we get better. As far as the coaching aspect, first of all, I'll credit my mom and my dad, but I'll say my mom was an incredible listener. She could listen for hours and hours and hours to anyone. Like she loved just letting people talk and share their story. And she just was amazing like that. And so I'll credit her with that skill. And I would say anybody out there that's listening that says, I'd like to get better at serving and helping people, the number one way to do that is to become a better listener. It is a practiced skill. It is not easy, but it is so important if you really want to make a difference. And listen not just to what they're saying, but to what they're not saying. Listen to what their body is telling you. Watching their body language, their facial expressions will tell you, because we can spin a lot of words. but what's really happening will show in different ways. So learning to fully, wholly listen to somebody is what I would say. If somebody wants to become a better coach, become a better listener.
So when Kelli was getting this amazing news about, or sharing this amazing news to us, that she was taking a new position and going to be the head of coaching, which they train other coaches. Essentially, it's a course, a very hands-on course where they take other people that want to be coaches, life coaches, better teachers, better whatever, and Kelli was going to be in charge. It made so much sense, but it was devastating because that meant she wasn't going to be my coach anymore. So, and anyone that knows me knows I hate change, and I am just, that was hard. That was very, very, I'm not going to lie. Like the lump in my throat was real. I'm sure I walked away and cried somewhere. But I'm going to fast forward and not make this about me. So then that summer, so we're going from March to August. We had there's the biggest fitness conference. It's called Idea World. And they had asked Todd, they, know that Todd's going to bring in great people. And they had asked Todd to do to kind of combine what he does with his retreats as part of this Idea World. And it was a big deal. I think it was a pretty big deal. I know I left my family vacation in New York to be there, which anyone that knows me, that is my coveted week. I had to leave the track that Thursday to get to California to be there. And Kelli was, I'll call you, is the MC the right word for it? And I had never seen Kelli in that capacity, right? I had seen her on calls as a coach. I had seen her as a leader in the mastermind. I had seen her as a coach for Scriptor. I had known her on so many levels and again, was blown away by her, but not like this. Not like this. She was like a star up there. I'm not kidding. Like she was a professional star. She could have been, she captivated the room. She made the entire conference flawless. You made it fun. You brought energy. You made people comfortable. I could just see everything that was going on. And I was just really impressed. And I couldn't help but think like the way you had progressed, and the name of our team was Team Elevate. The way that you had elevated was just incredible. And I really like the layer. That's why I wanted you to go back and tell all the stories, because there was devastation and I don't want this. And I don't know if this is the right path. And I don't, this isn't going to feed my family. There was a lot of things along the way that maybe were like, and then there was that. And then there's where you are now. And I want to tell this audience, surround yourself with people that you want to be more like. If they have values that align with your own, if you admire them for one thing, there's so much opportunity in that. And I was telling Kelli before we talked, I am like, I have to see it. I'm a skeptic, maybe is the right word. I was a skeptic about Todd. I'm like, who is this dude? I had to really dip my toes. I'm not sure. He can't be this, whatever. But I believe in coaching and the process and elevating and personal development so much more because of what I saw you do, Cal, in the time that I've known you. It's to going back from 2017 to 2024, seeing your confidence, your aura, your energy, and you always had all those things in you, but it was like your ability to share them and present, really. I remember when we were talking about presentations, you were talking about a presentation is a present. It's a gift. You said that to me once, and that really stood out to me because I'm like, okay, then don't think about yourself if you're giving a gift. Think about your audience. You want to give them something. I want to give you that compliment because I truly, truly mean it. But I want to know where you are now with that.
What you're pointing out, and it's so astute. I really appreciate your ability to see it, but also to distill it to what it is. I believe in what I do. I believe in the power of coaching. And so I'm the living testament of it. I don't have to just say I believe it. I literally live it. I lived it, right? It starts with a step and then it grows to another step. And as you grow, the opportunities grow. And as you stay open, the doors open and it continues. So I am a product of exactly what I teach and what I do. So I can honestly say I believe that. And no, I don't see myself that way at all. In fact, when you're in it, you don't see it, which is why I told you before we started, you had mentioned that. And I said, I really appreciate hearing that feedback because none of us can see how we are out there. We're always, in here trying to figure out how to make it better or how to serve more or how to do the next. So it's valuable to hear that. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's good. It's just always good to see and feel what somebody got from you. No, Todd asked me to be the MC, and so I stepped up to be the MC. Somebody believes in you. You step up and you do the work.
Yeah, that's really great advice, Cal. Okay, so let's make sure we talked about everything we want to talk about because there's just so much. We talked about Scriptor, and what would you say, Cal, if there's someone that's listening to this podcast that has had it on their heart to write a book or they just even thought about it, what would you say to that person?
Go to scriptorpublishinggroup.com and get on a call with me. There's no...
Get on a call with Cal, the best coach in the world.
But I'll answer all the questions, and talk you through the process. And, if it's a good fit for you, we're here. That's what we do. We love it. Love it, love it.
Talk about your trip to Scotland. We talked about that a little bit right before you came on.
I had a dream of doing a writing. Actually during COVID, we were doing online writing retreats. And I had a dream of going big and going international. So last year we did our first international writing retreat in Ireland last June of 24. And then this one is in Scotland. And this one, Ireland was special in one way because it was our first and it's where my family's from. So it was comfortable for me that way. But this one is special because it's where my husband's family is. And so we're going to be staying about 10 minutes from where my brother-in-law and my mother-in-law is there as well in a home there. So this one is special because, obviously Scotland's a very special place for us and our family, but because Graham is doing it with me. And we have a call tonight. I was telling you we have a call tonight and he's going to be teaching about Scottish traditions. So he gets a chance to be a part of it too. And that's really meaningful and really special. So that's in October. If anybody's at all interested, we have one spot left. So if anybody's interested, we actually just had somebody that isn't able to go. So we just opened a spot 2 weeks ago. It opened. So if anybody's interested, they can get on. It's right on our website.
Is it a week? I know they can find out more. Is it a week long, Cal?
A week long, October 12th to the 18th, Sunday to Saturday.
And how about the life coaching? Is there any opportunities with that coming up?
Yes, great. Thank you for bringing that up. So we started with Todd. Think about Todd's organization in as two pillars. We have the coaching pillar where we offer the mastermind and the coaching groups, but we also have an educational pillar where we're offering certifications. So there's a life coaching certification that we offer in that pillar, and it is a 6-month incredible course. We developed that with Lizzie Merritt. She's the co-coach on that. She's amazing. And it is, although it's a life coaching certification, sometimes people get hung up on what does life coach mean? What does that mean?
Right.
And I don't want to become a life coach. I'm not trying to build a life coaching business. And so I want to be really clear. It is about getting better at being a better person. If you're a parent and you want to be a better parent, these are the skills you need. We talk about human behavior. We explain why people do the things they do. And then we teach you how to work with people and how to communicate with people so that they become better and you get more out of your staff. You have a better relationship with your family, your classroom, if you're a teacher. So they are life skills that we're teaching, but with a whole psychological theory behind it, and then a whole coaching component of how to get better at communicating that. So life coaching certification, we do that once a year. We kick it off once a year. It'll be in September. We'll be there's some marketing going out on it now because we're doing early bird on it. So you can follow me, and you'll see some of that come out, or follow Todd, and that's coming up.
Yeah, we have a lot of teachers in our community. I feel like that could be a good fit for, I mean, it could be business person, anybody. So do you have anything to do with the speakers course, Cal? Or is that?
I don't. Travis runs that, and Julie helps him, who's within the organization. But that is another certification that's within the education.
Yeah, another certification. Okay. Yeah. 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 It's just good. I mean, that's, my advice to anybody listening to this. It's really great to level up in a way that you can add value to yourself and the people that you serve, whatever it is. And I believe when you invest, and I tell my community this, I really believe when you invest in yourself and then you're able to deliver it to your people, the exponential value of that investment is so powerful. And I've been very fortunate to I did the God-Sized Dreams program, and things that just were a skill set that I just wanted to get better at. I didn't plan on, I wasn't planning on creating a business around it. I just liked the idea of it. And I encourage people to do that. And I think you're a great example of that, Cal, of just, the name of this podcast, we got to get to this question. The name of this podcast is Start Before You're Ready. And you've given some amazing examples of that, Cal. What would you say? Maybe there's one that you haven't talked about yet, a time in your life when you started before you're ready and it's worked out pretty well for you.
When I graduated high school back in the dark ages now, but I was fortunate. I was valedictorian in my class. So I gave the speech. And I remember that my speech, to this day, I can't remember what I ate last week, but I can remember my speech back in 1984.
I want to hear it.
It was on opportunity. That was what I talked about. And I stood up there and firmly believed it, but did not know that I hadn't lived it at that point. That opportunity is everywhere. And if you just stay open to it and you take a step before you're ready, then amazing things will happen.
And then I'm going to cry again. We're going to start and finish the podcast.
I've never been ready. There's never been a moment where I'm like, I got this. I'm ready. No.
Yeah.
Just take a step.
Wow.
And then you grow.
So you've always had that in you. You've always had that in you. Wow. I just love that. I am so glad you shared that, Cal. I am so, so glad you shared that. That was like absolutely perfect.
Well, I haven't thought about that in a long time, so I'm glad that it came.
Yeah. Well, Kelli, I want to thank you for being on the podcast, for being an incredible coach, for being a mentor in my life. You are someone that I know I can text or call and be there in a heartbeat. You've always shown up just so kindly. And it, again, like that's the kind of people I want to be around because I want to be more like you. So I want to surround myself with someone that I want to be more like. So thank you, Kelli. Thank you for being a guest on this podcast. Thank you for all of the gifts that you have presented to the mastermind authors, your community, and beyond, because you really are a gift. And I know I'm not the only one, but there's a lot of people that are incredibly grateful for what you do and how you do it.
Well, Kel, I can't thank you enough. And I said this to you before we hit record as well. It's been so amazing to watch and listen to these podcasts that you're doing. You have such a gift of being able to just meet the person and let it flow. The conversation flows where it's meant to go without any planning, without that formal structure. You bring out the best in people. And you did that for me today. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really beautiful to see it.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelli Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.